I want to make a point. I'm holding my camera. This is a point, okay? There's a jar of pennies. No, it's not pennies. A jar of coins. Now, let's assume for one moment that I was going to guess how much money is in that jar. I might guess that there's $4. I might guess. Even the deer would agree with me on that point. Now, if I'm guessing, I might be wrong. But I actually did count how much is in here. I know how much is in there. I know how many coins, how much money there is in that thing because I actually counted it. It's important. A very important point. Knowledge comes from actually doing something, from interacting with something, by actually going through a process, processing something. Not just simply looking at a thing and just saying, figure, well, okay, there's $4 in there. You know, now you can challenge that. I do know how much it is, and I'll tell you how much it is in a minute. But what is important is this. People can guess at things. Or they could actually go through a process. In both cases, you're doing something that's just one single thing, and that is you're relying on your perception. In both cases, there isn't any alternative. There's not some other thing that you're doing. In both cases, you're relying on your perception, but one of them is perception without going through any processing, unreflective by thinking, or unreflective through actions and analyzing and careful analysis. But it's still both cases are relying on perception. So, you know, this is to address something that someone else said, and I'm just going to be honest about it. It's this issue that we can't trust our own perception. My argument is, and it's very simple, you can trust your own perception. In fact, it's not even a question of can you trust your own perception. You don't have an alternative. You don't have a choice. There isn't, again, I have to say this, there really isn't something else. There isn't something else. There's just your perception. But you can use methods. You can use techniques. You can use instruments. But no matter what, you're still using your own perception to read those instruments, to interpret those instruments, to make sense of it. Like in a little while, I got to check my blood sugar because it was a little bit high today. But I'm going to stick myself with, check my blood sugar and see what the numbers come out to. I'm going to see what those numbers are. Now, when I do that, I'm going to see. I'm relying on a machine. I'm relying on a glucose meter to give me a reading because I can't just go purely on my feelings. Sometimes I can feel that my sugar is high, and it does, sometimes I get a little bit, sluggish or whatever. But sometimes that could be just because I'm tired. Other times I feel if my sugar is low, I feel something. You do feel it. But that could be also because of fatigue or other things. But to know for sure, to have something I'm more confident in, I use my little instrument. I'm using machinery. I'm using technology, a technique. Technology and technique. You're using a technique. Counting is just a technique. It's a complement to our perception. Our perception is reliable because you're going to be using your perception. I'm perceiving that this, for example, is a nickel. I trust that my perception is not deceiving me. I'm trusting that this is a dime. Yeah, I just dropped that down on the floor. Here it is. I found it again. I drop it. I just dropped 15 cents in there. Here's another nickel. I just dropped another nickel in there. I just dropped 20 cents in there. Altogether, I counted the money. It's actually $3.10 in here, but I counted it. And I could give it to somebody else and they can go through the same thing. And they should come up with the same number. But they're still trusting their perception. You are trusting your perception. And if the other person concurs with me, then I feel even more confident. That is strengthened. It strengthens my thought that, yes, I was correct. If I were to take this, me and that other person counted it, and I take it and put it into a little counting machine that I have confidence is very accurate, and it comes up to $3.10, then I feel even more confidence. I feel stronger in that ideal. But no matter what, I'm still trusting my perception. Yes, my own individual perception, because I'm thinking, yes, I feel, the only thing is that each time I do different things, I feel more and more confident. But let's say, for example, if I counted it and it was $3.10 in here, I counted 310, give it to somebody else, they count 315, then I'm starting to doubt. And then I may count it again. And I do it a second time, I may feel more confident if I come up with the same number. But I would feel like, okay, I have to reject what I did before. If I come up to 315, I say, I must have miscounted it. If I put it in the counting machine that counts coins, that I feel pretty accurate, that I feel pretty confident in, and it comes to 315, and I say, okay, I made a mistake. I got it wrong. But, you know, I'm still relying on my own perception. My perception and its changes, its ability to change. A set of rules, a technique. I have rules. If I count this, I give it to somebody else. If there's a discrepancy, we count it again. In other words, I'm using techniques. See, the point is, it's not about this flat out thing. We can't rely on our perception. No, we can, because there is no other choice. It's not even if we can't, you still don't have another choice. You have to rely on your perception. You have to rely on your perception. You're just using techniques and methods and instruments. You're not abandoning your perception. You're simply enhancing your perception using techniques that work. That's all. It's just that simple.